Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. First, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I hope you have a fabulous day. If you're single, enjoy that. Celebrate the heck out of that. And if you're with somebody, sorry to hear that. No, no, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you have just the best day. And I just want to celebrate with all of you and say a big thank you for helping my channel continue to grow, for all the comments, just for all the positive things you guys leave. You just don't even know how much you make my day. Every single comment, I read them, I love them, and I thank you all for that. Happy Valentine's Day. Now let's have some fun. Buzzfeed put out this article. It's an older article, but it's all about the original Sex and the City series and things that we've missed. And I'm calling, I doubt that. We're pretty avid watchers, so let's see if we knew some of these things, if we learned some things new. Let's just talk about the Sex and the City before the train wreck of And Just Like That. But first, check out my merch, link below. I got Midnight Toast, Justice for Steve. It's a load of pants. Or find me on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. So this came out in 2021, and it's 31 Sex and the City behind-the-scenes facts that'll change the way you watch the show forever. So I'm really curious. I've not looked at the list yet. I'm curious to see what we know, what we learn. Let's talk about it all. It's told by the actors, writers, producers, and costume designers. So I thought this was interesting. There's a note at the beginning saying that they pulled some of the stories from Sex and the City, Kiss and Tell from 2004. So as soon as I finish this, you better believe my happy little hands are going to jump on Amazon and see if I can find this book, because I want to read it, and maybe we can talk about that too. Maybe we should start a book club. Okay, let's get into this article. So this one I actually do remember hearing. It was Sarah Jessica Parker, and I believe Kim Cattrall did the same thing, where they contacted their agents, and they're like, I don't know about this, and Sarah Jessica says that she was afraid she'd be on the series for the rest of her life. Everyone told me just stop panicking and calm down. So, I don't know. To me, that just comes off as a little bit pretentious, this statement right here, just because, so what? It ended up being a great show, and I'm sorry, but you're lucky to have been on it, right? You're lucky to have been the lead. What are you complaining about? So, number 2, Kim Cattrall also liked the pilot for the script, Sex and the City. But she was nervous, and she had lunch with Darren Star, and she told him, these are the things that I'm concerned about. This is what I don't want to do. This is what I do want to do, that sort of thing. And I remember hearing that somebody else was hired to shoot the pilot and then was let go. And I don't know if that person actually filmed the pilot or what, but I do know that, somebody else had signed on. I believe Heather McDonald knew the person and talked about it. Can you imagine what a bummer? You get the part and then you're immediately canned from the part. Oh, that would break your heart, right? So number 3, Sarah Jessica Parker purposely tripped a lot throughout the series to emulate some of her favorite physical comedians. So I was trying to think about this. Clearly the one that comes to mind is when she fell on the runway, and that was one of my favorite episodes. I love that. But I was trying to think if she tripped. I just don't remember it. She says she was such a wreck of a person so much of the time, and her apartment is such a mess that she'd trip over shoeboxes. Now, I do kind of remember that as well, but I didn't really think of that being her, just more of just a messy life. I didn't really think about the physical comedy that goes along with that, but all right. So number 4, if you're ever confused about the timeline of the series, we've talked about that before. So I had another episode where this came up. They tried to make it spring so that way they could really show off, the looks, the shoes, the fashion, that sort of thing. Whenever we talk fall in this show, I think of that stupid And Just Like That, when she's sitting in front of her big dumb window and they're dropping those 4 Michael's leaves in front of it, and that's where my mind goes on that. So, ugh. Okay, in that episode, Cock-a-Doodle-Doo, Sarah Jessica Parker and Chris Noth both had to fall in the lake right there at Central Park. They did it in one take. The crew had to clean out garbage, right before they started shooting. According to Parker, if you look at the scene, you see both of us are terrified. I actually cut my foot at the bottom. They had to give me a tetanus shot right afterwards. Oh my gosh. So here's the picture of that scene. So then, number 6, Cynthia Nixon wanted Carrie to be in the room when she gave birth, not just Steve. She had a similar experience in real life, so she wanted it to show up in the show. Sounds familiar. Cynthia Nixon wants her real life in the show. Where have we heard that before? Number 7, Sarah Jessica Parker wanted Carrie's character to use as little profanity as possible. I don't know. I guess I don't care either way on that, but it just goes to, I get annoyed because the character Carrie writes a sex column, yet she's not cussing. She will barely talk about sex. We don't really see her really have sex like we see Samantha have sex, which is fine. But I'm just saying, those are the things that I do remember from the show where I'm like, I don't know about that. So this one I've read in several places because the writers think this is hilarious. They actually even, I think it was the documentary for And Just Like That, they allude to this. So when Natasha and Big were getting married, obviously we didn't know Big's real name at that point. So the prop person put Natasha and Boris and Natasha. It's a nod to Rocky and Bullwinkle. I mean, it's funny at the time, but they've made a huge deal out of it since. It's supposed to be the funniest thing in the whole wide world. Yeah, okay, sure. So I thought this was a cool detail. It was Darren Star. He had this idea about the opening. He thought, I don't know if you guys are some of you guys will know Mary Tyler Moore, 70s show, and he thought it's a story about the character, and he came up with this idea where she'd be walking in a confident, cocky way through the streets, but then she'd get splashed, she'd turn around and see that it was her image. The show is about someone who constantly gets surprised by life, and I felt the sequence encapsulated who Carrie was. I love that. I like the sequence. I like that they messed up in the sequence, and you can... there's a continuity error right in the sequence I've talked about before where you see the people on the bus and you don't see the people on the bus. I don't know. I love that it's kind of chaotic, and I love that Carrie gets splashed by water. I think that's funny. Okay, there's a lot of discussion of what would Carrie wear in the opening credits. It was Parker and it was Pat Field who voted for the tutu. So Parker said, I felt like the sequence was set up nicely, but it didn't give away the joke. Here's a picture of another option, which I kind of agree. It just doesn't work the same way. Actually, I don't love the tutu of it all, but I don't mind it. The way that it's just kind of an iconic look at this point. Okay, so season 1 episode where Carrie farted in bed with Big. Now, what's funny about this? I just recorded this episode for Patreon, so check that out. It goes up in a couple weeks, but yeah, she was so embarrassed about it. Remember when she hits the door when she's covered with the blanket? That was for real. She ran out of the room. She hit the door. They left that in. That was his genuine reaction to her hitting the door. So this one's interesting. Before John Corbett made his big return as Aidan Shaw in season 4, his fans created a campaign to get him back on the show. They sent popsicle sticks and small wooden chairs to the Sex and City offices. Executive producer Michael Patrick King says, well, he probably says something very pompous and pretentious and took lots of pauses. But he says, we'd already made a decision to keep John on, but it was really good validation from the fans. I find this statement hilarious because now apparently they don't give a crap what the fans say. It's all validation for them. Okay, the clothes, shoes, jewelry, and bags of all 4 women were, they range from 0 to 20,000. Any piece was up for grabs as long as it represented their characters well. For example, Pat Field found a blue cape Carrie wore in the Agony and Ecstasy at season 4 in a thrift store in Miami for $5. Sometimes the actors dipped into their own closets. Cynthia Nixon was known for rocking her own jewelry, like the silver earrings that used to belong to her grandmother. Now, this is something else we heard. Cynthia Nixon is difficult in the wardrobe department. She likes to dress herself. Yikes. So Field also revealed that after they were done filming an episode, The ladies could choose to purchase anything that has been bought. Cattrall didn't really buy Samantha's clothes because it didn't represent her lifestyle beyond the show, but the rest of the women took advantage of Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte's closets. Field also said that the used clothes were auctioned a lot of the time. A white shirt of Mr. Biggs went for a lot of money, as did the sequined American flag bag Carrie had in The Agony and the Ecstasy. So it doesn't really match what they said in the quote-unquote documentary, and I use quotes because it was so terrible, I don't even know that it was a documentary, but they had the whole archive of Carrie's wardrobe. Sarah Jessica Parker had it. So I'm guessing they mean the other ladies' wardrobe and pieces were up for sale or whatever between the ladies, but hers all went to her. So, yeah, that's not quite right. Okay, executive producer Jenny Bix created Steve Brady's character specifically with David Egenberg in mind. Apparently, he had auditioned for a variety of characters before coming in as Steve in season 2, but Bix remembered him and wanted him on the show in any capacity. Yeah, too bad you guys completely screwed that up. Just wrote him in the worst way possible and then didn't even give him a scene in the last episode after screwing him over. Okay, remember the episode where Magda arranged Miranda's condoms? Apparently, originally she was going to put the Virgin Mary statue right in the middle, but everybody thought that was too far, so they took that part out and just left the organized plate of condoms. Okay, filming sex scenes wasn't sexy or realistic in the slightest. Okay, so this is something we've all heard before, right? Like when you're filming this stuff, it's not even kind of how it looks on TV, right? It's like the least romantic thing ever, so we can breeze past this because we've all heard this before. The men who ended up filming sex scenes on Sex and the City wore a cup, so nothing would actually show. The cups were labeled with KC for Kim Cattrall's initials. I'm just going to say, if she did that, very clever. If the other girls did that, screw you, mean girls. Okay, the writers and producers went back and forth with HBO on whether Carrie should have had the affair with Big in season 3. HBO was against it, but naturally Sex and the City crew fought hard to showcase something uncomfortable on TV. So, what are your thoughts on this? Carrie is always an asshole, right? And it just leads to further assholishness. But just from a watching standpoint, from a fan standpoint, I actually like that part of the series. I did. I don't know why. I like the storyline of them sneaking around. Even though she's a terrible person, I did. And I like that Natasha busted her and how all that went down and that she had to, well, I would say she had to live with the consequences, but that's not exactly what happened. But I didn't mind the storyline is what I'm trying to say. Sarah Jessica Parker recalls a bizarre experience shooting a scene with John Corbett. So it was the scene where they were around the fountain and she was in that dress. So apparently this man came up in a big garbage truck. He came up a few times and asked me to pose for a picture with him. He wound up putting an ad in the Village Voice thanking me and saying if I ever wanted to get together, give him a call. So in the episode where Miranda had her baby shower, and remember the cute little baby kind of slipped off the couch, like she just kind of set the baby down. She was an asshole. Set the baby down, ignored her, and he kind of slipped. Well, Kim Cattrall had the idea that you put the baby on a blanket, and it was supposed to be like under the frame, and you kind of pull the baby with the blanket. I'm just like, what the hell did they have planned before this idea? Were they really just going to toss the baby to the side? I don't quite follow that one, and I hate that episode. I don't know if I hate the whole episode. I just hate that part. Miranda was awful, and I felt bad for the baby. Okay, remember the episode where Charlotte was getting acupuncture I believe it was for her fertility stuff? So during the treatment, those scenes were shot in one day. She brought in her own acupuncturist, and they inserted needles in her body every 45 minutes, resulting in 10 hours of acupuncture. I cannot believe those statistics. I've never been around a TV show. I know you have to shoot a lot of things a lot of times, but damn. So Sarah Jessica Parker says that Marilyn Monroe heavily influenced Carrie's lingerie style. So she talks about the fun bras that she would wear and the outfits she would wear to bed, and I don't know that I see that. It's Valentine's Day. I love Kim Cattrall. Let's listen to this one. Before every episode, Kim Cattrall always came in prepared with a variety of different angles and suggestions to see what would fit better for Samantha and the man she was involved with. So they bring up that episode with the fireman. She suggested, let me do an orgasm with the sound of a fire engine. Let me try different things, If one's going to be too much or not enough, it's nice for the crew to have a few choices. And I say, way to be thoughtful about that and for your audience. One of Cynthia Nixon's favorite scenes to shoot in the series was when Miranda had a panic attack in season 2. Carrie met her at the hospital. So she says that when we came to the hospital scene, I was nervous because I viewed it as quite emotional from the beginning. It's the first time Miranda admitted that she was shaky about her world, and it cast a light on Miranda mental health and the emotional burdens she suppressed as an adult. I don't know. I'm just not a fan, and it makes Cynthia sound pompous. What can I say? I know, I'm biased. Okay, the show rarely kept any lines that actors ad-libbed. That doesn't surprise me at all because the writers think everything they write is gold, so why would they want anybody to add anything? But apparently Mr. Big ad-libbed right after he got married and he wasn't happy. He says, I'm so fucked up. And he says, I think everybody's been at that place where you desperately humiliated and you still do it. And they kept it and he was really happy about it. Okay, remember the episode in season 6 where David Duchovny came on? He was playing Jeremy, an ex-boyfriend from high school. He ad-libbed the line after they kissed. That's a lot better without the gear shift sticking up my ass. He added that one on his own, again referring back to their high school days when they used to date. So Joan Collins and Kim Novak, they heavily influenced Samantha Jones' style. Patricia Field talks about at the beginning of every season, Kim Cattrall would say, let's do a Joan Collins thing or let's do a Kim Novak thing. If you watch closely, you can pick up on all the Hollywood nods to these fine actors. Okay, Willie Garson, Stanford Blatch, knew Sarah Jessica Parker many years before they started working together on Sex and the City. Outside the show, they're actually good friends, and when the ball started rolling on Sex and the City, the two actors confided in each other that they were both cast, and naturally, they were supportive as heck. This is the writer talking. Garson says, someone thought we'd really get along, so we were seated next to each other at a dinner party, and we became great friends. We always say if either of us was on Sex and the City and the other wasn't, we'd be there hanging out anyway. Oh, you guys, this one's sad to read. I hate that, he passed, obviously, and I hate how they handled his passing and then just like that. Okay, the storyline of Samantha meeting her boyfriend James at a jazz club literally was taken from Kim Cattrall's life. Cattrall told the Sex and the City crew she met her ex-husband Mark Levinson at a jazz club. This is the time, you guys, where you need to stop what you're doing, jump on your phone or whatever, and look up Kim Cattrall jazz. And you'll know what I'm talking about and why I'm hesitating. I love her. I hate to even bring this up, but it is cringy AF. Just like me saying cringy AF. But it is. It's so cringy. You got to watch that. Okay, season 2. I believe it's the first episode of the season. Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So, according to Cynthia Nixon, people would stop her in the street and praise her for a relatable speech as Miranda that she gave to the diner. So remember, that's the one where she said, enough obsessing about men, all that stuff. She's frustrated about their conversations only being centered around men. And according to Nixon, viewers would tell her, I'm so glad Miranda said that. And I'm calling bullshit. No, I get what she's trying to say. I do think that sometimes, yeah, sure, it was excessive, but that's kind of what the show is about. somewhat too, right? I mean, I don't know. I think Cynthia's just blowing smoke up her own ass. So that's it, you guys. That's it for the article. That's it for the facts. I really enjoyed doing this one. If you want to hear more like this, let me know in the comments, and we'll see what other articles we can come up with. But it's fun to relive the original Sex and the City series and talk about the things we may or may not have known and just go back through all that. It's kind of a breath of fresh air after this, you know what, that they handed us. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have the best day, and I appreciate every single one of you. Check out Patreon if that's something you're interested in, and I still have merch. I got all kinds of stuff. Still doing Midnight Toast. That's my podcast, and check that out. That's right here on YouTube. And we got Midnight Toast merch, lots of mugs. Everybody has a mug. That's so cool. I like to think we all toast each other with our mugs. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.